Hey everyone, Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. We're going to have another episode of What Sold on eBay today. Once again, I'm Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. Definitely go down there and click the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. We're going to basically go over some of the things that sold over the last couple of days. We had some pretty good sales, so we're going to go over some of that right now. Basically, go over some of the things. Maybe you'll learn a little something about how I pick and what sells and like what different things are going on with items. And so I thought I'd hop on and do a live show right now, a late night live show. We haven't done one in a little while. Oh, wow, we got people already in the chat. We got Tracy Thrifts. And so, yeah, we're going to go over what sold in the shop over the last couple of days. There was actually some pretty good sales. This art sale right here, this piece of art was a really nice sale. I'll go over a couple things also about this. A lot of you have been asking about art. It's one of, I don't want to say it's one of the things I specialize in because I'm no expert. And as a matter of fact, like I think art is one of the things where it takes an extreme amount of years to really get a grasp of the whole piece of it. But with a few like tips and tricks, I can show you guys basically something that any beginner picker, any beginning thrift shop hustler, or anyone like that can go and pick some good art. Because most of the art you're gonna find is not gonna be worth anything. But you know, with these kind of things and everything, we can definitely show you what to look at right here. So I really appreciate everyone showing up. Definitely click the like button anytime during this video. That helps out the algorithm, gets people to see our stuff. And let's get right into it. So right now, first off, we got this Dennis Milholm, American artist, sage brush flowers. This thing was about a 5x7. It was really small, but if you look here, it has super amazing, almost like photorealistic details. In the art world, it's called photorealism. So if you ever hear anything called photorealism, that's what it means. It almost looks like a photograph. This was an oil on masonite, and for those that don't know, masonite's kind of like it's almost like a chipboard. It's a wooden thing that's just I think it's a conglomerate of little pieces of wood that are pressed together and made into a board. One of the pro tips that I can give you guys that are watching this is quality usually is going to tell you something. As you can see how high quality this painting is. This is hand painted, all this whole thing. So whenever you see high quality, that should tell you a little something that it could be worth some money. I mean, there's abstract paintings that look like garbage that are worth tons of money, but for anyone that's out there looking for specific things, you could see that quality is definitely one of the hallmarks that I look for. As we can see here, there's a little tiny signature down at the bottom. You can go to askart.com. There's a huge database of artists, so if you can figure out the last name, you can pretty much figure out the artist. Some like artists like which I say like Johnson. If you have a last name named Johnson, there's probably like 100 Johnson artists. So finding the right one, you'll have to match up the styles. As we can see here, this was made in the year 2000. Some of the nice artists are nice enough to even mark these. We got a dash and a 00. It's definitely not going to be 1900. So we put it down. This one actually had a nice provenance on the back too. And for those that don't know, provenance is basically like a certificate of authenticity, or in art terms, a provenance is basically the history of a piece. So if you find an Andy Warhol, you pretty much need a solid provenance to prove that it's a legitimate Warhol. Maybe a receipt or a story or something to go with. So some of the most expensive paintings are going to need to be like that. But for something like something newer, something like this, definitely a certificate of authenticity, which was from that gallery. Anyways, this sold for $419. This was packed up pretty nice. And we have different size frame boxes that we purchased just for sending art, because we've been actually going through a lot of art. We sold a $1,200 painting I think a couple weeks ago. I think you've seen some of that if you watch some of the videos from before. So, you know, definitely go and check this out. Oh, we got Toy Attic in the house. Hello. It says, I found a new I found a new painting that looked really nice. I just couldn't read the name. Yeah, one of the things you're gonna do is that's probably the hardest thing to do when you're doing art. And I'm gonna tell you that right now is trying to find the artist. Some artists' last names are completely horrible. You can't read them. But for this painting, it comes with a certificate of authenticity. Some of the paintings, their last names are very legible, and so there's a little detective work in art, and I think that's what turns a lot of people off is you can't just put your brain on cruise control and just scan a barcode and see a number and then be like, aha, art's like more cerebral when it comes to the detective work that goes into it. And I know a lot of people don't want to bother with it. That's why a lot of people leave art behind. As a matter of fact, I think the $1 million thing that you're going to find or the multi-thousand-dollar thing that you're going to find is going to be art. Hands down. I think the most expensive thing I ever picked was some statues. We talked about this before in the past. I sold the pair for $5,000 about, I don't know, that was about 3 years ago, but it was art. It wasn't a painting, but I have found paintings at Goodwill. We talked about a few paintings about a year ago. I bought a painting for $5. I ended up selling it for like 400 and something. It was in a Goodwill just sitting there, and it had all the provenance on the back. It was legible. And as a matter of fact, he's one of the founding fathers of photorealism that I found at a local Goodwill. But anyways, we took a best offer on this or actually this was on our sale. So yeah, so definitely art. I'm gonna be doing more art videos as the year goes by because it's a subject that I'm very passionate about, and some of you that have watched me over the years know that I'm really passionate about art. And like I said, it's one of those things that is going to be the cherry on top to your career if you find the right thing. Next up, we have this Loro Piana baby blue cashmere jacket. This was a blazer. Took a best offer for this today for 100 and I think it was 100 and some change. This was part of a huge donation of Loro Piana. This one actually had a little bit of it had some weird kind of spots, and now I don't think it was an actual spot. It almost felt like the fabric was worn down a little bit, and so this actually sold. It was a pretty nice jacket and that pretty nice blazer. Is a woman's. I'm still trying to learn all the terminology with clothing. I'm not a really huge fan of clothes, but over the last few months, I've really got addicted to clothes, especially now that we have. Let me see. Okay, yeah. See, this is the older mannequin, and the older, as you can see, there's shadows behind me, behind this figure. I have not a full mannequin. I have a torso mannequin now with a head and arms, and those two shadows that are back there are washed out with spotlights. So this was one of the first kind of photos that I did, but this sold, and it was a pretty nice pickup. Loro Piana is a Bolo brand you should be looking out for if you ever come across that kind of stuff. So definitely look out for Loro Piana as a brand to look out for. Next up, we have this Damask Rose Heirloom Sterling Silver place setting, flatware, I should say. 31 pieces. This was sterling silver. This sold on a bid of $185 plus $13.99 shipping. This wasn't a listing that I did. This was another employee's listing, as we can see here. I do like the red background, but I probably would have made the whole setup right here symmetrical, but it did sell. Sterling's also a great thing to find. If you're usually going to find this kind of stuff at estate sales, and usually estate sales know what they're doing. So you might pay up for it. You might not. I've found silver flatware at garage sales. They're very few and far between. Like I said, you're mostly going to find this stuff at estate sales and things like that. And we got Inflated Heroes here. He says, "Oh, you're live. I thought you were going to be watching. I was going to be watching in a recording." No, I'm live. I don't do too many live shows, but I was going to do a What Sold show, and I just thought, why don't I just do a live show? It's good for the algorithm. It's good for the the channel, and it just keeps me fresh. And definitely click the like button. That'll definitely help out a lot. Next item, we have this Heidi Ott Dorina doll. This is like kind of an older doll. I want to say this is from the 80s. I didn't know about this particular doll till I actually we got in like 3 of them, and I listed them, and I actually did some. I want to say, are they from Belgium? No, from Switzerland. Some of you might have seen these dolls before. Toy Addict might have seen these dolls. I'm not sure. But Heidi Ott, look for this logo. As we can see here, someone wanted $214 for this thing. They're really kind of different. They're all kind of signed, as you can see back here. This kind of number, I'm not exactly sure what that is. Obviously, it's a maker's mark of some sort, some kind of inventory system. They're nice dolls. To me, I thought like the faces actually look kind of like smushy or like a weird plastic, but that's just the way they are. The faces are kind of rough. The eyes and the lips and everything's all hand painted in there. They're actually really nice dolls, to be honest. They stand about, what do they stand about? I think I put it here in the listing. Yeah, so this one stands about 12 inches tall. They're fairly large, but they're not too big. It's kind of hard to describe. They're in between like a Barbie and a American Girl doll. And if you've seen, okay, so yeah, Toy Addict says I've heard of them, but I've never found one. Yeah, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've never heard of Heidi Ott as a brand. And so maybe because they're handmade in Switzerland, maybe that's why you don't see most of them in America. Is maybe if you're in Europe picking, maybe you can find a lot more of them here. But they're very nice dolls. We have 2 more of them on sale. We're trying to get I don't want to say get rid of those, but we're trying to sell those. And so I'll probably drop the price on those tomorrow and see where we go. This actually sold on the 30% off sale we had this weekend for Martin Luther King holiday. And so that was a nice sale for these. Next up, we have this 1941 10K gold-plated Kingsborough High School. I posted this on Instagram. It was funny. Someone thought the guy looked like Batman, and he kind of does look like Batman. I don't know what it is. I think it's a Viking of some sort. And I thought I had high-resolution photos of this. Why isn't it zooming in? There we go. So yeah, it kind of looks like Batman. That's why, because I cropped in. What I've been doing is I have my scales actually. Let's see if you can see my scale here. My scale's got this really nice kind of brushed aluminum plate, and it takes really cool photos. Let me go back and show you. See, it actually really takes cool photos when you crop it out. And so I've been kind of using this as kind of my background. And a little thing about this is I also use a jeweler's loop with my iPhone, and you can actually use it as a microscope kind of, and you can take like close-up photos that way. So that's a pro tip for you all that are trying to photograph macro without having a SLR or a macro lens. You can use your iPhone and a jeweler's loop, and that's how I got this. Now I found out a lot about some of the terminology here. Is this Duratone, I guess, is like it's a fancy name for like a plate. I originally sold this ring as a 10K ring, and it was returned because the guy took it to the jeweler, and I guess he found out that it was plate. Now these are heavily plated in gold, where my rub test, I guess I didn't rub hard enough through the whole thing, and so this was a return, but we actually did an auction on this, and it ended up for $51. So we still did pretty well. We get in class rings a few times a year, and so class rings are definitely a bolo. Definitely check those out, and just be warned. You learn from my mistakes is if you ever see this Duratone marking, that means it's a plate. It's like an amalgamation of metals, and it's a plated gold, and it's just heavily plated, so your scratch test is gonna give you a false positive. So just be warned about this. And I wasn't quite sure what I don't know if it was an emerald stone or whatever, because that's one of the things that I'm weak into is jewelry. And so I didn't say what the stone was or anything, because I pretty much didn't know if it was an emerald or not, if it was real or plastic or glass. I'm not too, like I said, I'm not too good with jewelry. So there was that. Next up, we have this LaBouffe limited edition Greg Norman golf fountain pen. This was a cool pen. This is one of the first things I listed when I got the job, and I think it's limited to limited to 3,068. A very nice pen. I've seen some comps on these go for about $150. We had this on sale. We had this listed for like 2 months with no sales. I finally took a best offer. I think I took a best offer for like close to $70 for this, plus $13.99 shipping. It was in a box. The box had some wear, and as you can see here, I listed it as having some dings and wear and things like that. So fountain pens are definitely something you should look up. I know there's some very high-end fountain pens out there, but this one was just easy to look up. Luckily, it had all the hallmarks and it had all the paperwork, and it was so easy to look up something like this, because sometimes you just might find the pen, brand new, mint condition, just laying around, and then you would really have to be like, well, what signature is this? Who is this? Who is the maker? You gotta take it apart. And for those that don't know, if you're into fountain pens, you'll find usually the hallmarks on the bottom or the top, and also in the little clasp right here where the cap is on the bottom of the cap. This one happens to have it too. So sometimes they're actually on the side here also, and the clip too. This little clip part, that like the pocket clip, sometimes they're there. So fountain pens are definitely something. If they look fancy, look them up for sure. Next up, we have this Disney Tangled Disney Store item. This was something that I listed a couple days ago. I highly suggest looking for, if you ever find Disney Store dolls that are in the package, definitely look them up. Some of them are very limited edition. They go in the hundreds of dollars. There's a few of them that are worth a couple grand, 1,000, 1,200. There's actually a limited edition one of Mother Gothel that goes for an extreme amount of money. So anyone that has some extra time, just Google, go to eBay and go to Disney Store doll and look at comps and sort by highest, and your mind would be blown on how much some of the limited edition ones go for. They go for a crazy amount of money. So this one happens to not be that kind. This is just a regular store issue. I think this was like, I think there's a price right here, $16.50. That was Canada. Let's see here, $14.50 US. This was a harder doll to find. This was from some years ago. Sold for $55.99 with $13.99 shipping. This shipped in a medium flat rate box, the kind of the longer ones. And what I did is I wrapped it in bubble, and then I put another extra cardboard on both things so that it wouldn't get smashed. I really take pride in shipping, and you can see that in our feedback. And also on my personal page, the feedback, I really take shipping very seriously. Next up, we have this Nintendo Wii. Pikmin 2 is actually a funny story that goes with this. I was visiting one of our shops a couple weeks ago, and I happened to see this in the back. And they were actually a few GameCube games that were marked $2. They were going to go out to the floor, and I scooped them up and put them in our store. This one sold for $52.49. The other Pikmin one we had sold for about $20-something. And I think it was actually just 2 games, and there was another toy that we took that I found on the floor. So I just visited some stores today, and I found like a $200 calculator in the package today. So if you have an American Cancer Society Discovery shop in your town, it's only in California. I think there's a couple in Oregon or Washington. I highly suggest going to those. Those have been honey holes for years. No one's talking about them. Everyone's talking about Goodwill. Everyone's talking about Salvation Army. Go hit up a Discovery shop. Even though I work at the one in Burbank, I still go out on the floor and find stuff that they've put out that I'm just like, wow, I can't believe they put this out here. So there is that. So I'm actually pretty proud of this find. It was pretty cool. Next up, speaking of GameCube, this was also another thing that was we got in from another shop, and it had another game in it. Unfortunately, it didn't have Zelda Wind Waker in it. It had another game, but that other game sold for $30 just with the disc by itself. GameCube games have risen in price by crazy amounts. Not every GameCube game is going to be amazing, but pretty much even the crappy ones go for about $10. Not like PlayStation 2, where the crappy ones go for like $1 or $2. GameCube games, buy any of them you ever see. I don't care what it is. If they're even scratched to hell, you can. There's tons of sellers on eBay that do resurfacing fees. I think you can get them as low as $2 a disc. If you do like in lots of 10, or I know there's a seller that does 2 of them for like $5 plus shipping. And if you have a 30, 40, 50, 70, $100 game that's scratched to hell, it is worth investing in doing disc resurfacing. Sorry, my voice is going. I was talking all day. I was traveling, and I think it's almost time to put this show up, wrap this show up. So we're gonna do one more item here, right here. Let's see here. Okay, Toy Addict saying, looks like there's 2 in Oregon, 1 in Tigger and sort of near me, and 1 in Medford, about 6 hours away. Yeah, if you can go visit one, definitely, I'll highly suggest. There's a lot of them in California. There's 2 of them in San Diego. You know, there's like 3 of them around Long Beach. There's 1 in my town. So definitely check that out. Click the like button if you're enjoying this. Leave a comment below if you're watching this on the back end. This is going to be the last item right here. We got an antique metal cookery scale. This was a listing that was made before I was hired on, and you can tell because of it was just it was just put on a table. I would never do this. But you know, it's sold $41.30 plus $13.99 shipping. We list some kind of odds and ends and some home kind of vintage appliances every once in a while, and so this was sold, and that was that. Once again, I'm Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. I really appreciate those that tuned in today. We have Toy Addict, Tracy Thrifts, Inflated Hero, Chris Talbot. I really appreciate you stopping by. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Subscribe, click the bell for notifications. We're going to do another video pretty soon. I really appreciate everyone that stopped by to watch the $500 VHS video that I did, and it'll be the last video before this one, so I highly suggest everyone go check that out if you want to learn a little bit about a $500 Disney VHS tape that is a legit one, not one of those overinflated ones. It is actually legit, really hard to find one. So that. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Nathan Eddings, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Take care.